The website that I'd like to bring your attention to today is teachinghistory.org. It provides a wealth of material for both the student and the teacher. As a teacher, you can find information for daily planning, unit planning, materials as far as worksheets, primary and secondary sources for your students to investigate. And then as far as the students are concerned, they could use this website to, in fact, look over the primary, secondary sources, find them as well, and just do overall general research for whatever it is that you assign for them to do for that day. As you can see here, there's the Site at a Glance button, which gives you an overview of the website. Maybe you don't have a clear direction on what it is or where it is that you want to go with the lesson. This tab here, again, gives you an overview of everything here, so it's a good place to start. You have the Teaching Materials tab, which provides a wealth of information for you as the teacher. There's lesson plan reviews, so full-on lessons and then the reviews in there to assist them. There's guides for you as the teacher, and then there are resources to help you with English language learners as well. And then you have the History Content tab, which is both useful for the student and the teacher. Website reviews where you can get primary and secondary sources. Then there's history quizzes so that you can test your students' knowledge, or you can let them go to the site and test it on their own, maybe within a peer group. And there's also Beyond the Textbook, which gives information that didn't necessarily make the cut within the curriculum, but very important information for students to know. And then you have best practices, which this would be for you as the teacher, just different ways to show you how to implement what it is that you're trying to do for the day, whether it's examples of historical thinking or teaching in action or teaching them how to work within the textbook. As far as teaching materials are concerned, if you were doing like a unit on the civil rights movement, for instance, you could go here, just opening up the textbook, and then it gives you a review of one of the most talked about lessons within the civil rights movement, one that you definitely have to mention as it's the beginning. So you get just a review of what it is, some notes there, and it lets you know what it is, what boxes that you're checking off as far as the lesson structure, if you're scaffolding, the type of analytical thinking, and the historical content. As I said here, or as I said earlier, you can download blank lesson plans, and there are more resources within the history content tab, for instance, as well. I mentioned earlier Beyond the Textbook, and this would actually be a great way to start the unit on the civil rights movement, because it goes back in time and kind of brings it to where the civil rights movement started. I think that this is something that maybe you could assign the students to read in groups, or maybe it's just information that you want for yourself to be able to provide for them. Then again, when we go into best practices, especially in regards to teaching civil rights, I think it's important to be able to think like a historian, because there are very sensitive topics within that subject. This tab isn't necessarily for the students, it would more so be for you. You would just watch this video here that's provided, and it would essentially provide you with the tools that you needed to teach them to think like a historian. You also have the search bar, which you can directly search for whatever it is that you want. You can find videos, primary, secondary sources. You click on it and you have the information that you need. It also provides information as far as different teaching techniques. Maybe you don't know how to front load, and it'll show you that as well. It's very useful.